Hello YouTube and welcome back to Cover 2 Credits.
Now we've been doing these series extended cut, and I think
we've done one ever.
Huh?
I think we've done one extended cut ever.
We're up to 3, and that just shows he doesn't watch his own content. So,
why don't you watch your own content? Speaking of narcissism.
That's referencing a video that's not this one. So, speaking to, yes, but they have no idea what you're talking about.
They know.
Okay, I hope they know. Either way, I think one thing we might do is change the name to just Discuss. CTC discusses. Either way, I have an idea, a topic. I have a topic.
It's a beautiful part about being the boss is we get to pick whatever the hell we want to call it.
Kevin has not heard this topic. We cover anything pop culture oriented, nerd culture, doesn't matter, but there's a few things that are a little off of that path that we are both interested in, me maybe a little more than Kevin. I'm going to ask him 2 questions today involving baseball. Yes, it's a sport. Yes, half of you just turned the video off, but I'm still going to ask him 2 questions, and I want to see what he says. Okay, first of all, this season in the media, there has been a huge backlash because there have been, I want to say, maybe more than 5 people that have been hit by line drives and stretchered out of the stadium.
Like fans or players?
Fans.
Okay.
One lady was standing in the first row behind home plate, behind the net, with her back to home plate, and the ball hit her in the back of the head.
Ow.
In fact, Starlin Castro, I believe, hit the ball that hit her in the back of the head. Now, whether or not she should have been standing behind, like looking at the game or not, I would assume, why would you ever have your back to the net? Granted, you're thinking you're safe there, I understand. There's also a fan that fell off the upper deck and died at Turner Field, landing on bleachers or on steps below. There have been multiple people that have fallen, I believe, at Turner Field and either seriously injured or died at Turner Field. Now, my question to you is, do you think, 1, Major League Baseball will do anything to increase fan safety? 2, do you think they should? As a baseball fan, someone who would go to pro games, who has gone to pro games, do you think they should? Do you think they will?
I think they probably shouldn't, and I think they probably will.
Why do you think they shouldn't? Here's my thing. There are nets now. The railing is minimal anywhere for upper deck or outside wall. Would you agree with that?
I don't know if minimal is the right word.
There's a bar, and that's it. And the bar is usually connected to the wall in front. What other kind of... And you're having people drink a lot. My only argument...
If you're trying to get sympathy out of me for drunk
you're
people
not. You're not. I'm talking about where are teams liable. They're giving people alcohol until the 7th inning, I believe. Now, granted, they try to curb how much each person can get, but that doesn't always happen.
No.
Okay? When you're having people walking up and down concrete steps that are extremely inebriated, and walking up to the edge of an upper deck that's a long drop, somewhere along the lines, to me, the team has got to be liable, or the MLB has got to be liable at some point. Now, this is not talking about line drives. That's a whole different thing. This is just the falling. I know they're going to say if we add anything above the railing, we're impeding vision. No one wants that. But somewhere along the line, something's got to give where people aren't going to fall out of the stands. Would you agree with that? Or is it their own discretion if they sit up there?
To me,
okay,
you are, and this is a personal belief that I have.
Okay.
Every individual person is responsible for their own safety.
I agree. Now wait though. Okay, continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, that assumes lack of maliciousness on the part of someone else.
Yes.
If they are purposely hurting you, that's one thing.
That's a whole different thing. Or if they're purposely
to some extent.
Only if they're purposely making it unsafe.
Now,
different thing.
To me, you are in a stadium.
Yes.
It is concrete. You know it's concrete.
Yes.
You know you're going to be walking up and down the steps a lot.
Yes.
If you fall and hurt yourself, that is one thing.
Now on the steps, yes. What about railing?
The railing, I think you have very little excuse for, unless something weird happens. Something
Okay.
weird things happen.
Does a lot.
Life does weird things.
Outfielder throws a ball over the outfield fence after the third out. Father and son, a couple years back. Father leans over, falls between the bleachers and the wall, passes away when he hits the ground, or later in the hospital. Weird thing. But to me, fan falling off the upper deck in the same stadium multiple times, not a weird thing.
How many? I assume there's probably a sign somewhere that says "Don't lean over the railing."
I agree.
Yes.
Well, okay, and truthfully, that might take away the culpability of the team. It might. That might be saying, this is posted, so it's on you not to do this.
There's a rail. You have a bar.
You have to admit, though, there's barely
It's a
a rail.
30-foot drop on the concrete.
You have to admit, though, there's barely a rail.
Yeah, but still, it's like...
Hey, I'm
It's
just
a
being devil's
30-foot
advocate.
drop.
I'm just being
I
devil's
understand where
advocate
you're
because
coming from.
if you look
I
at it,
understand where you're coming from.
especially in my major, we have this discussion all the time. If you have to look at it from the team side.
Mhm.
Does the team think, can we be sued by any of these families for wrongful death or injury?
I'm probably sure they'll be sued for it. Will it go to court? I don't know.
Well,
They'll probably be sued.
two things. One, is there a case? Because one, you also are saying there are a lot of times the game says, you're sitting here at your own discretion for a bat or a ball. Pay attention to the game. They announce it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the game. Keep an eye on the action. I've seen bats fly over the netting into the crowd. Like you see highlights now of bats flying and like a guy makes a crazy grab on a bat to save like a kid next to him. Happens way too much. Guys are using leather gloves and losing these bats into the crowds.
Mm-hmm.
Balls, you cannot control where you hit a ball.
No.
Maybe pull or push, if you know what I'm talking about by that. But other than that, no.
No.
I've seen somebody cue a ball off a bat, it go over a dugout, I know this is high school, bounce on a road, and hit someone sitting in a car, facing the game, watching the game with a window down, and break his nose.
I was there. It happened.
So that's what I'm saying. When they say the ball will find you, that's the reference they make.
Find you.
That's a baseball thing. You put somebody new into the game, or somebody's saying something like, "I don't want to get hit by a ball." The ball will find you. I've seen a guy I coached with, there for a long time, would get hit by foul balls in the dugout. We went and played it at Dozer Field in Peoria now. Minor league stadium, beautiful field. We're in the dugout. Dugout's got a concrete roof and there's a double bench offset, so we can't get rained on. Ball's coming straight down. It comes down at enough of an angle that it hits the concrete ground and hits the ceiling and pinballs right in front of him, sitting on the bleachers, on the bench, right in front of him. We look at it like he's just a ball magnet. Okay, there's no other way to explain it. How does that ball go anywhere else but straight to him? Either way.
Baseball.
That's what I'm saying.
Sport.
To me, the other argument is if you're sitting in the stands, the only thing they could do was add netting.
Well, okay. The Turner Field thing, obviously, you've got
The
how many
railing,
people
you
have
mean?
fallen?
I think 2 in like the last 5 years, 10 years, which
That's still not that many.
it's not, but it still seems to be an issue. I mean, you can't just brush that off. That's all I'm saying.
I understand that, but it's like, how many people have gone through Turner Field?
Millions of people have gone.
And two,
Maybe not this season.
And
Maybe not this season.
two have fallen to their deaths, which is a tragedy,
Yes.
no doubt.
But there have been people fall other places.
Mhm.
But there are some places that have netting over people
Mhm.
to where they've fallen into netting. I want to say, not going to name it because I'm going to be wrong, but I know there are other stadiums where people have fallen into netting above bleachers.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that happens. Maybe that's what they need to do. But the problem is, I think this is also in the outfield, not behind home plate.
Mhm.
So,
I don't know. There's not. It's like
also
I
a
said,
new point for this specific thing because they're building a new stadium, 2017. However, the ball, talk about that. What do you think about the line drive situation?
It's a baseball game.
Yeah.
It happens.
Here's
It's
my only
unfortunate, but it happens.
Only stipulation I will have. Should they increase netting to past the dugout roofs? Think about the way balls are hit. Now, you know baseball pretty well.
To pass the...
Okay, when I'm saying toward the outfield corners, past the dugout roofs. The reason I say that is people sitting behind the dugout, okay, it's a concrete roof, and then you're open. Okay? Mm-hmm. Past that, there's gotta be, granted there can still be line drives like a laser, mm-hmm. but a lot of time there's still something that's gonna hit ground or it's lofted. Any stipulation. All I'm saying is a lot of these crazy line drives where you've seen players get hit in the dugouts and get hurt are straight shots into the crowd, straight ahead of a batter. Mm-hmm. A right-handed guy hitting it straight into the left-handed crowd.
Yeah.
I mean,
he pulls the ball about 900% and hits a laser beam at 200 miles an hour.
Or he cues it off the end and hits it straight where he's looking. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, the netting right now goes, dugouts are set up to where they face the field, obviously. Mm-hmm. The inside of the dugouts toward home plate is where the netting stops behind home plate most of the time. Mm-hmm. There might be stipulations where that changes, but not that often. My thing is, should that increase to the other end of the dugouts? Mainly because the line drives there and past are different than behind the dugout walls.
You might have an argument there. I mean, obviously the netting, it doesn't impede vision that much.
No, it doesn't.
It does some. Obviously there's going to be some expense for the team, but very, very little.
And what you're going to be saving from possible lawsuits is probably worth it.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Because like you said, especially that close,
yeah,
and you do get a lot of those just...
Lasers. I mean, it's scary for somebody who's been around baseball a lot to sit that close because there's a chance I'm getting smoked by a ball.
There's a chance that some ball is going to come off the bat at 250 miles an hour and just be right on me.
Yeah. And I mean, you gotta think about it. Hockey added nets when a little girl was hit by a puck. Mm-hmm. Pucks are a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. But a baseball hits you in the head. I mean, there's a chance of the chest, especially a kid. That's a whole thing. That could be it. So
depending on where it's at.
That's my only thing. The other question for baseball I'm gonna have for you, and I know you're like, baseball? Kevin is a die-hard Cubs fan. If you know anything about the Cubs,
they're bad.
They're known the lovable losers.
Although they're pretty good.
We'll get to that. The lovable losers. Everybody heard of Wrigley Field. The friendly confines. Granted, if you're a Cardinals fan, it's probably not that friendly. However, I have to ask him, as a fan of a team in Chicago who's not necessarily doing that well, what do you think of the Cubs winning games this season? Possibly making a playoff push?
Well, they're only making a playoff push because they extend the number of teams that make the wild card to like half the teams in the MLB now.
Technicality. I understand. I understand your argument. Look, you're talking to somebody who will watch baseball for baseball's sake, okay? I don't care who we're talking about. Mm-hmm. I'm asking you, as a Cubs fan, what do you think about them making any kind of playoffs?
Well, I mean, they've made playoffs before, and they've made playoffs when I've been of age to appreciate them making the playoffs. But to me,
Are you referencing Bartman? Are you referencing Bartman?
No. Actually, the one that got me was they were playing, I think, was it the play-in game? Or it was like, they were like one win short of making the playoffs. And I was watching the game, and I'm like, there's 2 outs.
They have a lead.
They have a lead. A ball is hit to the pitcher. Pitcher fields the ball. I was like, they're going to the playoffs, and he fucking throws it over the first baseman's head, and I'm like 10 years old. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I could have made that effing throw.
You could have walked it to first base.
He had time. He walks like
before you get to
it, and goes whoop, and I'm like,
before you get you haven't been able a chance to watch this season yet that much, right? They're still talking about, can John Lester throw the ball to first base? No one knows. He's definitely throwing picks into the crowd. Either way, what I'm talking about is as a baseball fan, and again, someone who discusses stuff in class about the business side, I can honestly tell you, I don't care who I root for, if the Cubs were to ever get to the World Series and win, excuse me, I think for the game, that is the best thing that could happen to the game.
Oh, I agree 100%.
And I think that's because, other than maybe the Yankees and the Red Sox, the Cubs are probably one of the most worldwide known teams.
Mm-hmm.
And they're known for losing.
Uh-huh.
And they're known for not winning World Series since 1908.
And they're known for being bad.
And I'm pretty sure the last person that saw that World Series passed away a couple years ago, or a year ago. Every year they make that reference. The last person to see the Cubs win a World Series has sadly passed away.
Maybe that was holding back.
No, whether you love him or hate him, you got to think of Theo Epstein has turned something huge around. Joe Madden has been gigantic. The young kids are playing insane baseball.
They're good.
People are also saying, if it's not this year, it's next year. How long have they been saying that? But this year, it could actually be the case that next year might be.
Before you had the problem of talent has never been real short on the Chicago Cubs roster. There's been some really bad teams. There's also been some really freaking good teams that just could not win.
Together. Yeah.
There's been a lot of good teams with a lot of really good players.
And this is
way
the
too
case.
Much money for.
We're not sitting here just saying the Cubs are the end all be all. The NL Central is insane right now.
Yeah, they're good.
Minus a couple teams.
When you are the Chicago Cubs and you win 9 games in a row and only gain 1 game on the Cardinals, you have a serious problem.
I believe I read a statistic the other day that said if the Cardinals go 500 for the rest of the season, they'll end the season with 101 wins.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts.
That's a lot.
That's crazy.
That's being pretty freaking good.
Yeah. So I guess that's what we're saying. Even the Cubs fan will say the Cardinals.
They're good.
Pirates even. Now, granted, they've kind of fallen off recently. In fact, I read today they've lost the last 6 they played with the Brewers, who are not good. The Reds have kind of petered away too. They don't think they made the huge push. But the NL Central is playing very well. I'm not even going to talk about the AL Central. However, it's sports. We talked about it. I wanted to ask Kevin about baseball. The safety issue is mainly what I wanted to ask him about because I thought I wanted to see what he was going to say. So, if you have any things that you'd like to hear about us talking about sports, the Bears season's about to start, and I don't know if that's going to be a nightmare or not. But
Ditka.
If you have anything you'd like to hear us talk about, let us know. There are huge issues in sports. I talk about them all the time. I'm in the sports management program at school. We talk about that all the time. If there's anything else you'd like us to discuss, whether it's do you think a team's going to be good or bad, do you think a player is worth the money they're paying him? So let us know in the comments below. If you agree or disagree with our thoughts about the Cubs or the safety in baseball, I'd like to see what you think about what you think about the safety in baseball. Last thing I'll bring up about that, I just now remembered, is it the fact that maybe the media is the cause? Because truthfully, there's no way this doesn't happen every year. The line drives.
Well, if you're going to start, that's a whole nother discussion.
But no, I'm talking right there. We'll just stop right there. I'm saying, do you think that the fact that the media is so mainstream and so instant even more now, that maybe that's the reason you get this huge push this year of seeing all these people getting carted out? Because I'm betting it happens. It has to happen all the time. Baseball is a dangerous sport to watch, especially if you're not paying attention.
As I said, the whole is the media the underlying cause to a lot of the bad things
I'm not
in
asking
society?
that. I'm not asking that. I'm only talking about the line drives.
Short answer, yes.
Okay, could be. I don't know, because
we should do another extended cut and talk about this.
we might do another extended cut talk about media exposure for that.
Mm-hmm.
However, until that time,
thanks for staying until after the credits.